Are you that guy that's afraid of buying a refurbished item? Well, let's talk about it for a minute. So in many often scenarios, refurbished items are sold and they make people uneasy to purchase. Some people don't want to purchase refurbished items because they're concerned that they're defective or returned or recalled for some reason. Let's go over that real quick, because anytime that you return an electronic, which they don't like you to return electronics. No store likes you to return an electronic because they cannot call it new even if you've just opened it. Heck, I think even if you just return the item in the box still, they then have to call it refurbished. And while that's more rare for somebody to return an unopened package, it still has to be sold as refurbished. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of light. There are a couple reasons that people would return an item, whether it's cosmetic damage or they just decided that it wasn't what they wanted. That doesn't necessarily mean anything's wrong with it, but it still has to be branded as refurbished. So if you have any fears about that based off of just that knowledge, hopefully that puts it to ease, because you can purchase refurbished for quite a discount, and it's definitely worth looking at. Now, why am I covering this? Because this is a budget channel where I go over budget purchases, so don't be afraid of the refurbished item. It's very rare that you're actually going to purchase a refurbished item and be disappointed with it because nothing was actually done to correct the issue. It's also very rare that somebody would have returned an item for damage that it just didn't pass quality control again, or quality assurance, when it was going back out to be sold. So, keeping this in mind, try not to be swayed away by refurbished. There's also a difference between, I think some marketplaces will sell open box items. Well, open box items, you can't leave a review on it, as is, whatever is in it, and that's how it was returned, not actually certified refurbished items. So that's maybe one you want to be a little more wary of, but refurbished is just like buying new, they just can't call it new. We'll take a look at a couple things with some price differences, and I'll throw up some shots of that. But there's many reasons. Let's say I go to GamDS's store. I don't think they have an actual store, they have a website. But if I were to go to their store and purchase this mouse, I tried it out for like 10 minutes, and though it works, I don't like it, I put it back in the box and send it back, and I'm gonna go to Azio's store, and I'm gonna buy this mouse, and I like this mouse better, so I keep it. GamDS can no longer restock this as new, even if it was just opened and looked at. They can't call it new, they have to call it refurbished. There's nothing wrong with it, it's in perfect cosmetic condition, it works just as intended, but they have to call this refurbished. So hopefully this will put a little bit of ease in your mind when you're looking at items that say refurbished. It's sometimes not something you should avoid. It's something you should consider. It's something you should look at and say, wow, it's like $80 cheaper. Just as an example, I ordered a modem the other day that retails $136. I'm buying one that's refurbished. Somebody probably returned it, didn't want it, or needed something different. And I picked it up for $49.
Router.
I picked it up for $49. And it's jam up, not a scratch on it, nothing wrong with it, works. Just saying. So don't dismiss refurbished items. If you're looking to build on a budget, just because it says refurbished, don't be afraid of that. You're going to get it in a new retail box, most likely, unless it specifies otherwise. You're probably going to get it with all the original contents. It should all be there, especially if you buy from reputable stores or marketplaces like Newegg's Marketplace. And if you have any problem by someone like Newegg, you contact them and they'll make good on it. They'll fix it for you. So, I just wanted to touch on this because I remember reading on some forums the other day and some posts on a Facebook thread about buying refurbished is dangerous. You never know what you're getting. I can absolutely tell you, you're getting something that's as good as new. They just can't legally call it new. That's refurbished. Anyway, something to think about, something for you to consider, and hopefully this helped you out a little bit. So we'll take a look at a few things here, and hopefully I've given you a little bit to consider. So while I was sitting here editing this, I just want to make very clear that Sammy So-So up the street, just because he calls his item refurbished, that's between you and him, because there's no telling if Sammy So-So actually refurbished said items. I'm talking about refurbished items from reputable sources. Just want to be clear on that so nobody comes after me and be like, you said it said refurbished. Well, I'm talking about like if EVGA has a manufacturer refurbished, if Newegg refurbishes some product for whatever they refurbish. I don't know. If Power Color refurbishes something, if Intel refurbishes something, that's one thing. But if little Johnny Two Shoes up the street says, oh, I refurbished this Apple iPad, that doesn't mean anything, and I'd be very skeptical of that, because you go on eBay and you see, oh Mikey Two Pants over here has refurbished his Apple iPad. I felt the need, I needed to come specify. I'm not talking about random people you don't know selling something. I'm talking about real companies refurbishing stuff. Okay, so let's take a quick look here. This is the router I was talking about. It's an AC1750 dual band gigabit. Now it says I'll show you what it says. When I purchase it, it says open box over here, but it's open box refurbished, because I don't typically buy refurbished before I buy just open box. So it says that on the invoice, but it is open box refurbished. You check here, you can see this is actually the same one I purchased, and of course I purchased it. I wasn't going to pass that up. 45, what was it? What did I say it was? $45? I might have told you a different price. $46. So it's $46. It was a open box refurbished item, sold and shipped by. So I was pretty happy with this find, and I'll show you why. Because the MSRP $136.99, yeah, it can pay off to buy refurbished if you shop deals and look for stuff. I know a lot of people probably would be a little hesitant if you're looking at graphics cards, and I tried to find graphics cards as a good example. I know I saw a Power Color R9 390X, and while Power Color might not scream amazing overclock to you, they're pretty much out of the factory what they are, and pretty much leave it up to you. You save money by not worrying about all their factory aftermarket, and leave it up to you to do what you do with that. For instance, I buy their cards when I'm going to put water blocks on them and cool them and overclock them myself, and that's kind of what they expect. That's why they're usually more inexpensive, because of course the main board is the same across all manufacturers. They just do their aftermarket gobbledygook to it to make them more expensive. Their classified edition and super wind force and blah blah blah. Anyways, back looking at this, just as an example, I paid $46 for a $137 router. I mean, you see obviously the money that you can save when you find these deals, when you come across things like this. It's worth shopping for it. And just remember, refurbished doesn't mean that you're rolling the dice and going to get something crappy. Because if you buy from a reputable company like Newegg, you're covered. You're going to be protected about that purchase. Unless they stipulate, say anywhere otherwise, that this is buyer beware, blah, 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 which they don't typically do. They always got your back as far as I know. They've always had my back when I've made purchases, and I've actually never had to RMA anything to them. I wanted to RMA something one time to them, but I canceled it because I decided to do a mod with it. But, you know, feel confident in that, and just, you know, as a budget-oriented person just trying to tell you, refurbished doesn't mean bad. They just can't legally call it new. Even if the box wasn't open and Johnny Jojo over here returns their item to Newegg, they just can't list it as new again. It's got to be called refurbished. And if he actually opened the box, they may not even look at it. He might not have used it. He might have just taken a cable out of it, in which they'd replace said cable and list it as open box, because there's no reason to refurbish it technically. So if that gives you any kind of confidence, you know, these things can save you money. And while we're looking at a router specifically, and I wish I could have given you a better example, the bottom line is that, you know, for $45.99, come on, $45.99 versus $136.99, absolutely. And you can find these deals just about anywhere if you look for them, between Newegg, NCIX, any of the marketplace, even Best Buy's marketplace. Just check out some refurbished things before you go big time looking at spending all your money on something fancy. You can find a $700 new EVGA 980 Ti, or you can look around a little bit and probably find a refurbished one for the mid to low $500 range, in which you can even learn to do some stuff yourself if it's not the exact version you want. So just keep that in mind, and I just wanted to go over refurbished and what it means, because it doesn't mean bad. It just means they can't legally, rightfully call it new again just because somebody returned it.